All right, so converting measurement now of shapes. We're going to be getting into area and volume and how to calculate that a little bit later on, but I want to just start off by going through how do we convert an area or a volume. Now, normally if we are going to, it's a little bit different, but if we have an area or a volume rate, we can convert it in one simple step. Now, again, because we live in a world with multiple different measurement units, we often need to convert between units to solve problems. An example of that is when I was pouring my driveway a couple summers ago, I had to order all of my concrete in cubic meters. Okay, so 1 meter by 1 meter cube. So that was a cube, that was a volume that I had. Now the problem was that all the measurements that I had for the driveway were in feet and inches. Okay, and this is going to end up being one of the questions on your assignment. You're going to have to solve for it. Okay, but this is kind of part of what we could see happen. Now, using the list of conversions, we can go between multiple different units of length, but area and volume are very different. When converting, we use the same fraction ratios as length conversions, except that we need to do something different with the numbers. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use the final answer to the problem. That's going to be our initial step, the value that we want to convert. We're going to set up the ratios which represent the given and needed units for our piece of information. And we're going to make sure that the units are the same. Okay, so if surface area is used, we're going to square the conversions. If volume will be used, we will cube the conversions. And so that's important that we understand to do that. So let's look at the first example that I'm going to go with. Okay, and this is actually my deck. And when I put decorative rock underneath my deck, I know using my house as an example. Decorative rock is placed underneath a deck in a yard. It is determined that we will need 128 cubic feet of rock is needed. If the rock is sold in cubic yards, how many cubic yards of rock are needed? Okay, how many cubic yards of rock am I going to need to order if it's all in cubic feet? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to set up our ratios. Okay, the same way we do with length, but now we're dealing with volume, so it's going to change things slightly. We're going to tweak it slightly. So I'm going to start by putting in the volume that I have here, 128 cubic feet, and we want to change that into cubic yards. Okay, so we want to change that into cubic yards. Now I know that there are 3 feet per 1 yard. Okay, there are 3 feet per 1 yard. You will notice though that we have cubic feet and regular feet. That's different. Okay, it's different. So what we need to do is we actually have to change that to cubic feet and cubic yards. So what we're going to do is, and I'm just going to do this in as a little bit of a drawing here, we're going to take this value here and we're going to cube it, and we're also going to do the same thing on the bottom. Okay, 3 feet times 3 feet times 3 feet, and 1 yard times 1 yard times 1 yard. What that's going to give us, and I'm going to write this out a little bit differently here, or I'm going to write it out again, 128 feet cubed over, and again, yards cubed, which we don't know how many yards that'll be yet. And now 3 feet times 3 feet times 3 feet is going to be 27 cubic feet. Okay, it's 27 cubic feet. Okay, so 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So it's 27 cubic feet. And 1 times 1 times 1 is 1 yard cubed. That doesn't change. So you'll notice that even though there's only 3 feet in a yard, there are 27 cubic feet in a yard. Okay, and I'm going to show you a graphic on that in just a little bit. Now we have it set up so that our units are all the same, okay, which is extremely important when we are solving a question. Now, cross multiply and divide. Okay, cross multiply and divide. And what we're going to do here, or what we're going to get, I should say, we're going to do 128 cubic feet divided by 1 cubic yard. And we're going to that is multiply by 1 cubic yard. Multiply. Then we divide by 27 cubic feet. And this is going to give us a total of 4.74 back in there yards cubed. Okay, 4.74 yards cubed. Now it's really important that we do these calculations correctly, because knowing this, okay, knowing these calculations here, I'm going to order, so they will order 5 cubic yards of rock. Okay, 5 cubic yards of rock is going to be ordered. Now that's a little bit, okay, and there's a price per cubic yard. If we forget to cube that and we just divide by 3 instead of by 27, okay, we're going to get a much bigger number. We're going to get a number of 43 cubic yards, if that's the way we do it, if we forget to multiply or cube this, okay, which would mean I would have way too much rock for underneath my deck. I would have enough rock to do my entire yard, and I would be paying for it as well, which is not what I'd want. Okay, so it's important that we convert it correctly. Now, the reason that we get that, and these are the diagrams that I show here, is that we know, in essence, that 1 foot is the same as 12 inches. Okay, we can see that in the ruler. You understand that. You've probably done that in previous grades as well. 1 foot is 12 inches. We know that. The thing is, when we put a 1 foot by 1 foot square, this is 1 foot by 1 foot square, and we want to put a little bit of 1 inch squares in there, 12 will only fill up one side. We need 12 rows of 12, which means that there are 144 cubic or square inches in a square foot. Okay, there's 144. That is 12 times 12. Okay, it's 12 times 12. So even though there's only 12 inches in a foot, there is 144 square inches, 144 little squares in here. Now, cubic, okay, is volume. It's going to be 3-dimensional. Again, 12 feet. But if we are trying to find out how many little 1 inch by 1 inch cubes are in this one, we got to do 12 times 12 times 12, okay, which is 12 cubed. That one I don't have off the top of my head here. 1,728. 1,728 cubic inches, okay, are in 1 cubic foot. So that's where our conversions are very different. That's why we sometimes have to revamp, or that's why we have to square or cube our conversion rates when we're solving. So let's do an example with area, okay? A TV has an area of 4,950 centimeters squared. We want to find the area of the TV to the nearest square inch. We're converting from square centimeters to square inches. So what we do here, and again, if we ever, we're always going to do conversions within the same type, volume, area, or length. So what we're going to do here is we're going to change 4,950 square centimeters into square inches. And we have a couple different conversion rates that we could do. So if we go here, so we have 1 centimeter is 0.039 inches, or 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. I like this one here personally. That's just my own personal preference. So this is going to be 2.54 centimeters over 1 inch. Now again, we'll notice here that we are dealing with different units. We're dealing with area here and length there. So we need to square both of these. Okay, we are squaring both of those, and that's going to give us centimeters squared. When we do that, okay, the first part's still going to stay exactly the same there. We're going to have 4,950 centimeters squared over inches squared. Now, 2.54, if we do 2.54 squared, we get 6.4516 centimeters squared over 1 inch squared. Now the inch doesn't change because 1 times 1 is still just 1. Now you'll notice we have the same units, okay? Same units is extremely important when it comes into this because we can only convert if we have similar units, and now we can do our cross multiply and divide. All right, actually, no, let's do that up here. So we're going to have 4,950 centimeters squared times 1 inch squared divided by 6.4516 centimeters squared. Now some of you are like, well, why are you using so many decimal places? The more decimal places, the more accurate we are, okay? The more decimal places we keep, the more accurate our answers are gonna be. So 4950 divided by 6.4516, and this is gonna be 767.25 square inches. Okay, so the area of the TV is 767.25 inches squared. Now again, units are super important, okay? We need to make sure that we are accurate with our units. We make sure we are showing our units in every case so we know what type of measurement we are dealing with. All right, finish off the assignment. Assignment 1 still, question 17 through 22. And let me just put in the number symbol there. Okay, number 17 to 22. Those are all on converting area and volume. Make sure if you're converting area, you are squaring the conversions. If you're doing volume, you are cubing the conversions. You're not touching the regular measurements. You're just squaring the conversion rates so that you can do the work there.